Hi! So today I'm going to talk about the good and the bad things about the ketogenic diet that some people might not know about, might not know some of the research that's still going on. So we're going to talk about that. First and foremost, I want to say if you hear crying or hear meowing, that's the cat trying to lay my son down for a nap. He's definitely not trying to take a nap, so if you hear him crying, then that's why he's crying, because he doesn't want to go to sleep. I just want to make a disclaimer and say I'm not a doctor. I am literally reading information that any one of you can look up yourself. I will have links in my description box of where I found my information. I just think, for me personally, I like hearing other people say it than me try to research everything myself. So that's why I decided to just do it myself and let you guys have an easy overview of things that revolve keto and some of the things that are good and bad about the ketogenic diet. So one thing that I touched on in one or two of my other videos is the keto flu, and that's one of the most common side effects to the ketogenic diet that a lot of people come across. I didn't really get the keto flu until I tried to switch to only one meal a day, and then that's when it really started to hit me. And so I of course switched back to 2 meals a day, and I am currently still doing 2 meals a day. Sometimes I'll do one, it just depends. If I'm not hungry, I don't force myself to eat. So if I'm not hungry and I've had just one big meal that day, then I'm good with that, and I think that that's okay. So the ketogenic flu, or the keto flu that it's usually called, it's kind of just like having symptoms of a cold. So there's headache, there's fatigue, sometimes lightheadedness, a little irritability maybe, and a lot of doctors and nutritionists just kind of, the way they explain it, it's like your body going through detox from all the carbs and sugars that you intake. So the keto flu doesn't mean you're dying. It doesn't mean that you're going to not be able to get through it. It is just your body's way of going through withdrawal, pretty much, from the carbs and sugars that you have been taking in. Once your body, now everyone's different, so I don't have a time frame of how long the keto flu will last. Usually it lasts for the amount of time that, your body is going through detox, I guess is a way to say it. Just know it won't last forever, and if you just stick to the diet and you just stick to the healthy way of doing the ketogenic diet, it will pass, and a lot of people go through it, so that's one thing. Now, there are ways to help reduce the symptoms of the ketogenic flu, reduce it, minimize it, maybe even to where it doesn't even happen to you. One thing is when you're going through the ketogenic diet, you're losing a lot of fluid, like I've said before. A lot of that is water fluid, and so you start to get dehydrated. You want to make sure that you drink plenty of water, a lot of water. And you also want to make sure that you have electrolytes in that water, whether it's the powder form, the tablets, or even the Pedialyte. You just want to make sure that you get those electrolytes in, because that will help with the symptoms of the ketogenic flu. Other things are like constipation. Awkward. That's something that's most likely going to happen to everyone on the ketogenic diet, and this comes from the Epilepsy Foundation, where they talk about constipation. Also, bone fractures are a risk because of the calcium that we're not getting any longer from milk and some other foods. Cheese is very important when you're on the ketogenic diet for not only the reason of fractures and being deficient in some other minerals, but it's also important because of the kidney stone risk. When you do the ketogenic diet, there is a risk of getting kidney stones, and there's also ways to help prevent that from happening. Not a 100% guarantee that it will prevent it, but it will help better your chances of not, if that makes sense. You get rid of a lot of calcium in your urine when you're doing the ketogenic diet, and you're low on citrates, and if you don't have enough, you can be at risk of getting kidney stones. With that loss of calcium, there is a decrease in bone mineral density. Have lemons. What I do is I put lemon in my water every day. I have at least 1 lemon a day, and that increases the citrates. Lemons are of course citrus, and the citrates will help decrease the risk of getting kidney stones. And then Dr. Eric Berg has a whole video on that, and he goes into way more detail, and I don't know half the words that he says, so I will just link the video in the description box. And if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. He gives a lot of good tips and advice and explains why kidney stones develop and like what exactly it is that's going on and how to help prevent it in more detail than what I just did. So those are the main negatives. I'm sure that there are more other ones that if you dig really hard you can find, but I'm just gonna leave it at those because those are some of the major ones. Now I want to talk about the positive, and I've already touched on like the health benefits of keto, so I'm gonna dive in a little bit deeper and talk about more specific things and things that might not affect everyone, but it could help people that are going through it. One of the main things that the ketogenic diet does help with is epilepsy. I have a family member that has seizures, so when I heard about this, I just wanted to learn more about it. According to PubMed, fasting and dietary regimens have been used since before 500 BC, which is a long time. And then in the 1920s, the ketogenic diet was introduced by modern physicians for an epilepsy treatment. It was used for 2 decades widely, and then modern medicine started to kick in, and then people or doctors or whoever thought that medicine would be a better regimen. The use of the ketogenic diet to help treat epilepsy started to decline, and medicines were on the uprise. And then recently, the ketogenic diet started coming back into, I don't want to say power, but the light was shined back on to the ketogenic diet, and it was specifically targeted towards children with epilepsy, and studies found that it reduced the frequency of seizures, and 7% were seizure-free by the 4-year mark. Now that's just one study. There's another study, Dr. Helen Cross. There's 2 studies that she did. One was called KIWE, or Ketogenic Diet in Infants with Epilepsy. She compared the ketogenic diet to other controlled diets. She compared the ketogenic diet to other anti-seizure drugs in children ages 3 months to 24 months, and found amazing results with the ketogenic diet compared to those other drugs. Found faster results, more stabilized results, and so on and so forth. There is a second test called the Edible trial to see if keto improves the outcome after surgeries of children. They started the diet 6 months before the surgery in children with focal cortical malformation of the brain. And those studies are still going on, but they're looking promising as far as the research has shown. In new studies, there is a conference, well, there's actually 2 conferences that have gone on, that happened September 20th through the 24th in 2016 in Alberta, Canada. Now, the conferences were about treating epilepsy, brain cancer, autism, and cognitive disorders on the ketogenic diet. This meeting had over 500 neurologists, scientists, dietitians, and industry representatives. This conference is set up to share studies, tests, and to discuss further tests on the ketogenic diet with all of these symptoms and all of these cognitive disorders. There's no concrete answer as to whether this works or it doesn't work. It's just in the works, but it does look hopeful. In other cases, a doctor named Dr. Ryan Lee and dietitian Miki Wong are doing tests and trials in Honolulu, Hawaii, testing the ketogenic diet on other controlled diets. And these are tests run to evaluate in children with autism, how symptoms improve in autism. According to the Epilepsy Foundation, they say that the test is encouraging and the trial is ongoing. Now, other than the seizures and testing on the effects that keto can have on autism and other cognitive disorders, according to Everyday Health, it is stated that the ketogenic diet also tends to be a mood stabilizer with people with type 2 bipolar disorder, and it also helps with type 1 and type 2 diabetes patients, and it can lead to the improvement of HbA1c, which I don't know what that is, and I didn't look it up, sorry. The epilepsy conditions that the ketogenic diet has been used to help improve are infant spasms, Rett syndrome, tuberous sclerosis complex, which I don't know what that is, Dravet syndrome, Deuce syndrome, efficiency. Over half the children that they tested had over 50% reduction of seizures, and 10 to 15% of those children became seizure-free. So I just thought that that was really interesting. Now, I'm not saying if you have a kid that has seizures to like immediately put them on the ketogenic diet. I'm not a doctor, I cannot give you that advice. I'm just sharing information that I found online that you can find online easily. If you are planning on doing the ketogenic diet, like I said in every video, talk to your doctor first, make sure that it is okay for you to do it, and that way that they can monitor you and make sure that you're doing everything you need to, because just with everything, every positive there is a negative. So you just want to make sure that the risks of doing the ketogenic diet, that you're making sure you're taking the precautions to prevent or lessen the chance of you getting things like kidney stones and stuff like that. So anyway, that was my video on the ketogenic diet and the good and bad things about the ketogenic diet. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.